Why reading is so important. Leo often felt a pang of frustration. He knew English was the global language, a key to countless opportunities, yet his skills felt perpetually stuck. Every online article, every international meeting, highlighted the growing gap. He yearned to connect, to understand deeply, and to express himself clearly without hesitation. This silent yearning fueled his eventual transformation. He understood, intellectually, why reading was profoundly important. Books, articles, and even casual online posts were reservoirs of knowledge and linguistic patterns. However, he hadn't truly embraced it as a vital tool for language acquisition. His reading had been sporadic, without a clear purpose beyond basic comprehension. This needed to change dramatically. The realization struck him one rainy afternoon. To truly learn English, he must read, and read consistently. Reading wasn't merely about understanding stories, it was about internalizing grammar, expanding vocabulary, and observing natural sentence structures. This was the fundamental bedrock upon which all other skills would be built steadily. He decided to begin his journey with English materials. Not complex academic papers initially, but engaging short stories and simplified news articles. This initial step felt manageable, a gentle immersion rather than a daunting plunge. He sought out topics that genuinely interested him, making the process less of a chore and more of a discovery. His primary goal for these early reading sessions was vocabulary acquisition. He learned that merely looking up words wasn't enough. He needed strategies to truly remember them. Contextual learning, linking new words to existing knowledge, and active recall exercises became his daily routine. This methodical approach proved surprisingly effective. He started using flashcards, not just digital ones, but physical cards he could carry around. On one side, the English word, on the other, its meaning and an example sentence he'd encountered. This constant exposure reinforced memory, slowly building a robust internal dictionary. He reviewed them during commutes and coffee breaks daily. Why reading is so important, he now understood, extended beyond words. It taught him the rhythm of English sentences, the flow of ideas, and common idiomatic expressions. He wasn't just learning isolated words, he was absorbing the entire linguistic tapestry. This passive absorption greatly aided his future comprehension skills later on. He dedicated at least 30 minutes daily to reading, treating it as non-negotiable. Whether it was a chapter from a graded reader or a compelling online blog post, consistency was paramount. This regular interaction with the language built familiarity and reduced his fear of encountering unfamiliar words or complex sentence structures. As his reading improved, so did his confidence. He started noticing recurring grammatical patterns, solidifying his understanding of tenses and prepositions without explicit grammar drills. This organic learning felt more natural and sustainable than rote memorization, paving the way for more fluent expression in the future. He realized the profound truth: you must read English to internalize its logic. It's not just about content consumption, it's about language acquisition at a foundational level. Every word processed, every sentence understood, was a small victory, contributing to a larger picture of linguistic competence and growing self-assurance. With a solid reading base, Leo turned his attention to listening, recognizing its equal importance. He initially found native speakers incredibly fast, their words a jumble. This was a common hurdle, but he was determined to overcome it, knowing effective listening was key to real-world communication. His strategy had to adapt. His focus soon shifted to British English. He admired the accent, the intonation, and wanted to emulate it. He began exploring BBC podcasts, British audiobooks, and documentaries. The initial struggle was real, but he approached it methodically, starting with content designed for learners and gradually increasing the difficulty level. How to improve your listening skills, he discovered, involved active engagement, not just passive hearing. He would listen to short segments repeatedly, focusing on specific words and phrases. Transcripts, when available, became invaluable tools for verification. He trained his ear to differentiate sounds and understand nuances of pronunciation. He practiced shadow speaking, repeating what he heard simultaneously. This technique not only improved his listening comprehension but also helped fine-tune his pronunciation and intonation, making him sound more natural. He started mimicking the rhythm and stress patterns, slowly shedding his hesitant, non-native cadence. Podcasts became his constant companions during walks and chores. He didn't always understand every word, but he focused on grasping the main idea and key information. Over time, the jumble started to untangle, and individual words began to emerge clearly from the stream of speech. His ear became much more attuned. The challenge of how to remember words wasn't confined to reading. He applied similar principles to new words encountered in listening. He'd pause, look them up, and then re-listen to the segment where they appeared, cementing their meaning in context. This holistic approach boosted his vocabulary retention significantly. Next came the monumental step, how to think and speak in English. Leo realized his biggest barrier wasn't vocabulary or grammar, but the mental translation process. He would formulate thoughts in his native language, then painstakingly translate them, leading to slow, unnatural speech. This cumbersome habit needed breaking. He began by narrating his daily activities silently in English. I am walking to the kitchen. I need to make a cup of tea. The water is boiling. This internal monologue, however simple, forced his brain to process ideas directly in English, bypassing the translation step altogether, a crucial breakthrough for fluency. He practiced describing objects around him, explaining simple concepts, and even arguing with himself in English. This constant internal dialogue, though awkward at first, gradually became more fluid and natural. It was like retraining his brain to operate in a new linguistic mode, a truly liberating experience eventually. This shift in thinking was paramount to how to improve your fluency. When you stop translating, your speech naturally becomes faster and more spontaneous. Ideas flow directly from thought to word, without the intermediate linguistic hurdle. This mental agility was the secret ingredient he had been missing for so long. He started to consciously categorize thoughts in English. Instead of thinking, I need to buy milk, then translating it, he trained himself to directly formulate milk and bike in English in his mind. This small mental shift yielded surprisingly significant results for his overall linguistic flow. It became second nature. This constant mental rehearsal created a rich internal environment for English. It was no longer just an external subject he studied, but an intrinsic part of his cognitive process. This deep integration helped bridge the gap between understanding the language and actively producing it with greater ease and precision. Leo understood that learning English was an ongoing journey, not a destination. Each day brought new opportunities for growth. He celebrated small victories, like understanding a complex sentence without translation or recalling a specific word instantly. These little successes fueled his motivation to keep pushing forward. He began seeking opportunities to start step-by-step talking. His first attempts were hesitant, riddled with pauses and grammatical errors. But he reminded himself that mistakes were part of the learning process, not failures. He sought out patient conversation partners and online language exchange groups for practice. His initial conversations were about simple topics: his day, the weather, his hobbies. He focused on getting his message across, even if imperfectly, rather than striving for flawless grammar. The goal was communication, not perfection, a liberating mindset that significantly reduced his speaking anxiety overall. How to talk in English became less about a rigid formula and more about embracing natural interaction. He learned to use filler words, to ask clarifying questions, and to paraphrase when stuck. These strategies made his conversations feel more authentic and less like a memorized script. He gained confidence steadily. He recorded himself speaking, listening back to identify areas for improvement in pronunciation and intonation. This self-assessment was uncomfortable at first, but incredibly effective. It provided objective feedback, allowing him to target specific habits that hindered his natural flow and made him sound less fluent overall. He also joined an online British English speaking club, further immersing himself in the specific accent and cultural nuances. This provided a safe and supportive environment to practice, receive feedback, and interact with others who shared similar goals. The community aspect was incredibly motivating for his journey. He learned common British idioms and slang through his reading and listening, then tried to incorporate them naturally into his speech. This added a layer of authenticity to his conversations, making him sound less like a textbook and more like a real person. It was a subtle but impactful touch he enjoyed. To improve your fluency, Leo realized, meant consistent output. He aimed for at least 15 to 20 minutes of active speaking practice daily. This might involve talking to himself, participating in a language exchange, or narrating his thoughts out loud. The sheer volume of practice slowly built muscle memory. He actively sought opportunities to use English in his daily life. Changing his phone language, reading English news, watching English movies without subtitles, and even ordering coffee in English when possible. Every interaction, no matter how small, was a chance to reinforce his learning and build practical experience. When he encountered new words he wanted to remember, he didn't just write them down. He tried to use them immediately in a sentence, either silently or out loud. This active application cemented the word in his memory far more effectively than passive memorization, making recall much quicker. He embraced the concept of language showers, where he would surround himself with English music, podcasts, news, even background chatter, all contributed to constant exposure. This full immersion, even when not actively listening, helped normalize the sounds and rhythms of the language in his subconscious mind. He kept a vocabulary notebook, but not just for definitions. He wrote down example sentences, synonyms, antonyms, and related words. He categorized words by theme, making it easier to recall them when discussing specific topics. This organized approach significantly boosted his recall ability and overall word power. Learning English became a deeply personal journey of self-discovery. He wasn't just acquiring a skill, he was expanding his worldview, gaining access to new cultures and ideas. This intrinsic motivation kept him going through moments of frustration and doubt, reminding him of the profound rewards. He understood that how to improve your fluency wasn't about eradicating accents, but about clear, confident communication. His goal was intelligibility and naturalness, not perfect native mimicry. This realistic perspective reduced pressure and allowed him to focus on truly expressive speaking without fear. Leo began to see the interconnectedness of all his efforts. Reading fueled his vocabulary and understanding of structure. Listening refined his pronunciation and comprehension. Thinking in English made his speaking more spontaneous. Each component strengthened the others, creating a virtuous cycle of improvement. He found that regularly reviewing previous materials, both reading and listening, was crucial for long-term retention. Spaced repetition wasn't just for flashcards, it applied to revisiting familiar stories or re-listening to favorite podcasts. This reinforced learning and ensured knowledge didn't fade over time. When faced with a challenging word or phrase, he didn't immediately give up. He'd look it up, yes, but then he'd also search for it in different contexts, see how native speakers used it, and try to incorporate it into his own sentences. This proactive approach deepened his understanding significantly. He learned to be patient with himself. Progress wasn't linear, there were good days and bad days. But he committed to showing up consistently, even if it was just for a few minutes. Small, consistent efforts accumulated into significant breakthroughs over weeks and months of dedicated practice. The initial fear of making mistakes gradually dissipated. He realized that native speakers often appreciate the effort and are generally very forgiving. His focus shifted from avoiding errors to effective communication. This change in mindset was truly transformative for his overall speaking confidence. He started attending local English conversation meetups, pushing himself out of his comfort zone. These real-life interactions, though sometimes nerve-wracking, provided invaluable opportunities to practice how to talk in English in authentic settings. The social aspect also made learning more enjoyable and sustainable. Leo embraced the input hypothesis, that massive exposure to comprehensible input, reading and listening, is fundamental. He flooded his environment with English, ensuring he was constantly encountering the language in various forms. This rich input provided the foundation for effortless output. He understood that fluency wasn't about speaking fast, but about speaking smoothly, with minimal hesitation, and expressing complex ideas clearly. It was about confidence and naturalness, rather than just speed. This redefined goal made his progress feel more tangible and less intimidating over time. His journey became a testament to the power of consistent effort and strategic learning. From struggling to form basic sentences, he transformed into a confident, articulate speaker, capable of engaging in diverse conversations and accessing a world of information previously beyond his reach entirely. He continued to seek out opportunities to learn English, always challenging himself with new topics and more complex materials. The joy of discovery remained a strong motivator, driving him to explore different genres of books and more specialized podcasts, continually expanding his linguistic horizons. The importance of British English continued to be a guiding principle. He enjoyed the cultural insights gained through British media and how it shaped his understanding of diverse accents and colloquialisms. This specific focus enriched his learning experience considerably, adding a unique flavor to his English. He shared his methods with friends, encouraging them to adopt a similar step-by-step talking approach. He emphasized starting small, celebrating minor achievements, and building momentum gradually. This mentorship reinforced his own learning, as teaching often clarifies one's own understanding profoundly. His ability to remember words grew exponentially. He no longer relied solely on rote memorization but had developed an intuitive sense for word patterns and usage. New words often felt familiar even before he fully grasped their meaning, thanks to extensive reading and listening immersion. Leo's confidence soared, not just in English, but in all aspects of his life. Learning a new language, especially one he initially struggled with, taught him resilience and the power of perseverance. He became a more open-minded and globally aware individual, embracing cultural exchange with enthusiasm. He understood that mastering a language involved constant refinement. There was always more to learn, more nuances to grasp. But the initial overwhelming feeling had been replaced by a genuine enthusiasm for the journey. Learning English was now an adventure, not a daunting task anymore. The initial fear of how to talk in English was now a distant memory. He could express himself spontaneously, engage in debates, and even crack jokes in British English. His voice carried conviction, a direct result of thousands of hours of dedicated practice and unwavering commitment. His listening skills became so honed that he could enjoy British comedies and dramas without subtitles, picking up on subtle humor and regional accents. This effortless comprehension was a testament to his consistent effort in training his ear and actively engaging with various audio contents available. Leo's transformation underscored a universal truth: anyone can learn English. It requires dedication, the right strategies, and a willingness to embrace the process, including its inevitable ups and downs. His story became an inspiration, showing that fluency is an attainable dream for everyone. So, if you're wondering why reading is so important, or how to improve your fluency, look to Leo's journey. Start small, be consistent, immerse yourself, and most importantly, enjoy the incredible process of unlocking a new world through language. Your English adventure awaits.